Okay, I think we can officially get started here. So first of all, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks for taking your time to be here with us. Again, my name is Steve Lund. I'm the Senior Director of Enrollment at Musicians Institute, and I want to introduce to you who I have joining me today. First up, from our financial aid department, he's one of our financial aid officers. We have Eric Gonzalez. Hey, Eric.
Hey, everyone. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right. And Eric, just so you know, at least on my end, it seemed like maybe your volume was a little low. Oh, my volume was turned down a little bit as well. So just a heads up for that. So Eric's going to be obviously covering all of your questions about federal financial aid. He's also going to be monitoring the chat. So and also the Q&A as well. Next up, we have our Director of Admissions, Miss Martha Torres. Hey there, Martha.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
All right. So Martha, of course, will be answering any questions you have regarding financial aid. Martha and I are also going to cover information about scholarships, which applies to both domestic and international students as well. A few items that I would like to mention, some housekeeping items, as people usually say. This session is being recorded, so we will absolutely send this out to everyone that is attending. So we'll send you a link so that way you can go back and review all this information that we're going over. Also, you'll see as I'm going through the slides in the presentation, there's going to be multiple website addresses and email addresses that are in there. When we send you the follow-up email, it's going to include all of those links. So don't worry. Of course, if you want to jot down some things, you can. But all of this information will be provided to you. In the email that we send, you'll get all the links to the websites that we mentioned, from some emails and who you should contact for what. And also, you can, again, watch this whole recording again. For asking questions, we find that if you do have specific questions, it's really easier to manage the Q&A section on this. So close to where you see the chat, you should also see Q&A as well, making sure that it's there. You can also utilize the chat, though. That is not a problem at all. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So what is financial aid? Financial aid is financial aid is money awarded by government and schools to help students pay for education, which means financial aid does not only mean federal financial aid, loans and grants, it also includes scholarships as well. All right, types of aid. There are grants. Now, this is referring more specifically to federal financial aid. There are grants, which is free money that does not need to be repaid. And then there are loans, which is borrowed money to be paid back. So this is aid available at MI through federal and state aid. There are Pell Grants, supplemental grants, often referred to as SCOG, subsidized and unsubsidized student loans, Parent Graduate Plus loans, Cal Grant, and also Chafee Grant. So you can see that there are multiple types of grants that a student may be eligible for, and there's also a few different types of loans that students may qualify for. Regarding the Parent and Graduate Plus loan, one quick thing I want to mention about that is a credit-based loan that some students may qualify for. In some cases, they may be able to qualify for that loan themselves. That would be the Graduate Plus loan if you're going into a graduate degree program. The reason why it says also Parent Plus loan would be for students that are considered dependent. So a dependent student is a student that is under the age of 24. The federal government automatically considers you a dependent student. So it's not something that that Musicians Institute is deciding. It's not our rule. So federal government, excuse me, if you're under 24, considers you dependent. That means, first of all, they want to take a look at your financial information as well as your parents' or one of your parents' financial information. Once that's all submitted, that is all factored in to determine your eligibility. But then your parent may be able to, can apply for and may qualify for a Parent Plus loan. If they have well-established or sufficient credit and they qualify, then your parent would be able to take out a loan that could cover any balance of tuition that you would have. And in some cases, they can take out an amount that may not only cover the balance of tuition, but also exceed that amount, and you can use that for living expenses. Again, that would be when your parents are involved in that manner, it's going to be for students that are under the age of 24 considered dependent. Requirements. So these are the requirements for applying for federal and state aid. So again, this is for federal financial aid or federal aid. You must be a U.S. citizen or legal resident. have a valid social security card number. I'm sorry, let me just go back real quick to the first one. Must be a US citizen or legal resident. Legal resident would be if you have your green card. So if you were an international student or an immigrant and you now have a green card, then you can absolutely apply for federal financial aid. So yeah, social security card number, have a high school diploma or its equivalent, maintain satisfactory academic progress. That means make sure you're passing all of your courses while you're attending MI. Be enrolled in a full-time or, excuse me, part-time degree, and that includes AA or bachelor program or a certificate program. So even our 6-month or 1-year certificate programs qualify for financial aid. And also for the Cal Grant, that you must be a legal state resident from California. That means you must live in California for at least 1 year or more than 1 year. So something to keep in mind with that, we have, again, a lot of students, as I mentioned, that come from all over and that, end up relocating and moving to California to go to MI if they're not on the online program. And for those students, they would not be able to apply for the Cal Grant when they're first starting. But let's say you're in a associate or bachelor degree program, you're going to be at MI for a few years. Well, once you've established residency in California for more than a year, then you can apply for the Cal Grant and you may be eligible. So that's something that, again, if you're relocating, that's something you may be able to take advantage of further along in your program. Okay, how to apply for federal financial aid. You need to submit a FAFSA, and you can do that by going to studentaid.gov, and the MI school code is 015238. Again, we're going to send all this information to you. If you want to jot it down, that's great, especially the school code. I think it's important to have that. It just sort of expedites the process. So what that means with the school code is you go onto the FAFSA application, you complete all of it. When you get to the end of the application, it asks you, do you want to send all of this information or send your FAFSA to a specific college university? If you put in that school code, Musicians Institute pops up right away, click it. And then when you submit it, we're going to be notified that you've applied and you've included our school. So again, that helps with the processing. Apply for loans. That's also done through studentaid.gov. Apply for the Cal Grant, which I had just covered and mentioned some details about that. That is done at a different website. That's csac.ca.gov. And last but certainly not least, apply for scholarship opportunities. And that's at scholarship.mi.edu. And I'm going to cover more information about that in just a moment. So when to apply? Now, not later. So you really want to jump on this entire process as early and quickly as you can. There's always two things I like to mention here, though, and that is if you're applying early meaning if you're applying to MI, whether it be anywhere from a few months in advance before a start date, or a lot of the students will apply even 6 months to a year before they're going to start, then definitely apply for financial aid as early as you possibly can. If you are a student, though, that let's say you're interested in MI, you've always wanted to go, and maybe you didn't realize that there's a start term right around the corner. So if enrollment is still open, you can still apply for not only admissions and apply for a program, but you can also apply for federal financial aid, even rather close to a start term. So keep that in mind. That is a possibility. We just encourage you to apply as early as possible. In order to get everything processed before you start a program, if you're going to apply for federal financial aid, you really you want to try to apply and have everything done within 2 to 4 weeks before you're going to start a program. But again, if it's within that 2-week time frame, work closely with your admissions advisor and financial aid, and they'll try to expedite that process and get you going through that as quickly as possible. Since I did mention start terms and enrollments, I just want to make sure everyone knows that the next 2 start terms would be summer and fall. So enrollment is still open for summer. It's a great time to start a program because typically we have, it's the smallest, the smallest intake class that we have for a start term. So in other words, there's usually fewer students that start in summer compared to the number of students that start in fall. So if you can start in the summer, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It usually means that class sizes are smaller. It's just easier to book practice labs, studio time, rehearsal rooms on the 3rd floor. And again, and just so you know, rehearsal, I'm sorry, when I mentioned studio time, that's for our audio engineering, studio recording students, or even the music production students. So it's just a lot easier to get into those rooms and to book time and to utilize the facility. And the small class sizes are nice because I find you tend to get to know your instructor just that much easier and that much better. So something to keep in mind, but we are still accepting applications for both summer and fall. And Alma's going to cover some of that more a little bit later on. Excuse me, Martha. I'm glad Martha, I can see Martha because I could see she gave me the look and that's calling me out on it. Perfect. Okay, what happens next? Again, this is for federal financial aid. Did you submit a school application? So if you're going to apply for either federal financial aid, FAFSA, or even for scholarships, I'll mention that now, you absolutely need to submit your admissions application. So you can be in the process, right? You can be in the process of becoming fully accepted, but you definitely have to have completed the admissions application and submitted that at least with some requirements. We need to have at least a couple of documents or requirements and have you submit that. Maybe you're still waiting to hear back regarding your audition. That's fine. As long as you have admissions application in and a few requirements, you can still apply for FAFSA and have that sent to us. And you can also apply for scholarships and qualify for them as well. Once you do fill out the FAFSA and you have that admissions application in, the financial aid advisor will reach out to you. So they will follow up with you. If both things are in, both documents, FAFSA and the admissions application, they try to reach out to you within 48 to 72 hours, so 2 to 3 days, and then they'll go through the process from there. After that, there's verification process. So it's processing everything that you would be eligible for as far as loans and grants. Verification means the Department of Education or financial aid, federal financial aid, they randomly select students and say, we need some further documentation supporting what you put on your FAFSA application. So you might have to go through that process. Awarding means that our financial aid department will send you an official award letter showing you everything that you're eligible for, how much you're eligible for loans, grants, and then also how much that covers towards the tuition. And if there is an estimated balance of the tuition, then that will also be reflected on your award letter. To that point, everyone should keep in mind that the tuition balance or even the tuition itself is an estimate because sometimes students decide to take a different number of credits. So when we are sending out estimates for tuition, it's based off of, for full-time students, it's based off of 15 credits per quarter. And if you're a part-time student, it's based off of 7.5 credits per quarter. But again, especially for part-time students, I want to reiterate that we have some part-time students, they see that their estimated balance is off of 7.5, but then they decide to sign up for 8 or 8.5 credits. So obviously, if you're in that situation, then your total tuition cost is going to be a little higher than what was estimated previously. So just a good thing to keep in mind. After the awarding process, final step for federal financial aid is going through the financial aid forms. So someone like Eric or someone from our financial aid department will send you the final documents that you need to complete in order to actually receive and accept that financial aid. Sorry, Martha. Yes, perfect. We'll take a break here so Martha can cover a few things.
Yeah,
Yes.
so before we jump into scholarships, which I know that there's been a couple of questions about that, I just wanted to just talk a little bit about financial aid and loans. So if you've used financial aid in the past and you've accepted loans, and perhaps you don't know what the status of those loans are, it's really, really important that when you're filling out your FAFSA, you look on the FAFSA itself what the status of those loans are. So maybe they're deferred, maybe they've been, maybe they're in repayment and you're in the process of making those payments, or maybe you're in default. That can happen. Things fall through the cracks, we understand. But if you are, in the event that you are in default, unfortunately, you won't be eligible for financial aid until you clear that up. So there's contact information on your FAFSA that has your loan servicer, the people that handle your loan. Their contact information is there. So we highly encourage you to connect with them to see what's going on, maybe set you up in a repayment plan. So there's nothing you can do at any institution that uses financial aid until that's cleared up. So I just wanted to point that out, that when you're filling that out, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what the status of your previous loans might be. just take a couple extra minutes to scroll down, and you'll see that information there. Okay, so that's it. All right, Steve, take it away.
Thank you, Martha. By the way, Martha, since we are transitioning to scholarships, was there, well, actually for both Martha and Eric, is there any questions that you maybe want to cover now that that pertains to federal financial aid or loans and grants?
I didn't see anything. The questions that we had were scholarships, and we're going to cover that right now. But I'm not sure if Eric wants to address anything that he might have seen.
No, uh, nothing in particular. Just pretty much everything's been general. Again, our school code is 015238. That information is going to be given to you when you receive your greeting once you complete your MI application. So if you miss anything, again, we'll be giving you this information again and again and again and again.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Eric. There we go. On to scholarships. Scholarship opportunity. There's two different types of scholarships that we refer to. So there's outside scholarships. Those are scholarships that are offered or could be available outside of MI. That's why we call them that. So there's a couple of great websites there that you should check out: careeronestop.org and also studentaid.gov. Martha, I believe you have another one. Yes, go ahead. Would you mind mentioning that real quick for me? Thank you.
Yeah, it's called, sorry, I was I was answering a question. Sorry about that. But yeah, it's called fastweb.com, and I'll go ahead and put it in the chat. And there's a bunch of, different types of scholarships. And something I always like to mention, Google. Google is your best friend, or any kind of search engine. So do your research, because it's not limited to what we're sharing. There's a whole plethora of different types of scholarships available to you. It's just going to take a little bit of extra work on your end. The only thing to note is if any of these sites are requesting for you to pay to apply, don't do it. They're probably phony, because these organizations, these companies, they're looking to give money away. They don't really need your money. They want to give it away. So stay away from anything that requires any type of payment, even if it's minimal, $4 or $5, whatever it might be, $10. Just don't do it. There's plenty of other ones you can find that are free to apply for.
Absolutely. Excellent point. And by the way, I know Martha's going to put that website address in the chat, but we will also include that in the follow-up email that we send to everyone. So you'll see that there again. Also want to mention, what Martha was just bringing up about do as much research as possible. That goes for everyone that's on this session, particularly our international students, right? Because you international students that are joining us, you're not unfortunately able to apply for loans and grants, U.S. loans and grants, those federal financial aid. But absolutely want to research and try to find as many scholarship opportunities as you can. So for all students on this session, literally, I would say on a weekly basis, you should just, Google and research scholarship opportunities. Also, Google scholarship opportunities for musicians or scholarship opportunities for music schools. You just never know what's going to pop up. Maybe one week you search, you don't really see much, but then the following week, all of a sudden, wow, great, here's this opportunity that I might be able to apply for. If any of you ever have questions or if you have questions or need any kind of assistance while you're looking at these outside scholarships, by all means, make sure you contact us. Always contact your admissions advisor, or the admissions department is really the best place to go. And then we will absolutely assist you. Particularly, I think what sometimes comes up is a student sees a scholarship opportunity and they say the college you're going to go to has to meet these requirements, or maybe has to offer this. And if you're not sure if MI meets those requirements, again, by all means, contact us and we can absolutely assist you with that. Yeah, just again, one other thing that Martha mentioned, these companies that offer scholarships, you just never know. Sometimes you see opportunities where a company just wants you to fill out an application and write an essay and submit it, and you may be selected. So again, as she said, it really looks good for these companies to be able to offer things like this. So again, you just never know. So we just can't emphasize it enough. Just continue to do a lot of research. Also, we've had students that are Native American and they belong to a tribe. They've been able to get scholarship funding through that. So, there are maybe different minorities that might be able to apply for scholarships through different groups or organizations, particularly with organizations. So again, definitely do your research that route as well. Okay, so beyond outside scholarships, we also have MI scholarships, and the website for that is scholarships.mi.edu. And I'm going to provide some more information about that. There are merit-based scholarships, performance-based, and financial aid need-based scholarships. So what I'm going to do now, stop sharing, bear with me 1 second. I'm actually going to go ahead and go to our website. There we go. Just something here. Okay. There we go. Martha, you can see that, right? Looks good? Okay, great. So from our homepage, which you all have seen, you can navigate up to admissions. And then when you see the drop down, by the way, there's a page for financial aid. Again, I'll send you that link. And we're gonna also send you this link to the scholarship page, but I just want to go over a few details. So here's where we list the different scholarships that MI offers, excuse me. And these are for, it says Musicians Institute and MI online scholarships. That means all of these scholarships are available to both on-campus and online students. You can see we have various scholarships for different programs. We pretty much offer a scholarship for all programs. Things like songwriting, I will mention this, songwriting and composition. If you're going into either one of those programs, you can apply for the musicianship scholarship. That applies to, again, songwriting and also composition. You see that in some of the details. Let's actually look at that one. By the way, there's even a International Musicians Merit Scholarship. So that's a performance-based scholarship specifically for our international students. Musicianship scholarship. So you click on any one of these boxes so that it drops down, gives you all the details, more information, goes through eligibility, but just to give you requirements, but I'm going to just kind of skip down to the application checklist. So in this case, you would need to submit the one-page essay, which I'm going to go back to in a moment. YouTube videos, URLs that must contain 3 performances, 2 songs in 2 different styles in an ensemble setting, and 1 solo piece, and the Musicians Institute acceptance letter. Now, if you haven't been fully accepted yet for any of these scholarships, you can just submit the welcome letter that you received, the confirmation you would receive when you first submitted your admissions application. You're absolutely going to get a confirmation from admissions. You can even submit that to show that you have submitted your admissions application. I also like to pull up this scholarship because we typically have a lot of performance students on these sessions. And for the performance, we're actually in the process of doing some updates and just refining some of these scholarships. I'm not going to change drastically, but like in this case, for 3 performances, it says 2 songs in 2 different styles in ensemble setting. That means ideally we would love to hear you play with other musicians, but if that's just not possible, maybe, this is one thing I've heard from a couple students is that maybe they're at a fairly high level and they just don't have other students around where they could put a band together that can play the same level of music that they can play, right? So no matter what the situation, if you're not able to submit performances with other musicians, then you can absolutely play to backing tracks, right? So you can either use music -1 tracks. For vocalists, it's much easier because you can use karaoke tracks. So you're able to take out the vocal track. It won't be on there. We can hear the music and we can hear you singing. For guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, just make sure we can hear the music playing in the background, but that we definitely hear you playing on top of that music. So I just wanted to mention that. It's a good thing to know. The last thing I'm gonna mention about the scholarships when you're submitting for them is the essays. To me, the essay, in some cases, can be one of the most important things you're submitting because it's really telling your story, right? So you can see here, we want you to describe yourself, why you should be considered for the scholarship, including a musical background, aspirations, any factors you consider relevant. But I think the key thing is to always talk about in any essay, whether it's the essay you're writing for an MI or your Musicians Institute scholarship, or especially an essay you're writing for an outside scholarship, you want to really talk about why you need the scholarship, why you need it financially. So especially if, let's say, something for you financially has changed, or you're doing this completely on your own, you don't have, a parent support or some type of financial supporter, mention those kind of things. Just don't hold back or don't be afraid to talk about the reasons why you need this financially, and then absolutely try to really convey your passion as to how much you really want to do this. You really want someone to know that, this is the main thing in your life. This is all you see yourself ever doing. But really, again, talk about how much this really means to you and how bad you want to be in the music industry. I think those two main points really goes a long way. Yeah, so that's all I want to say about that. Scholarship amounts can vary. Typically for scholarships, the award amount would be $1,000 to $2,000 per term, and that's going to be for full-time status. If you were a part-time student, then those amounts would be cut in half. So typically amounts for scholarships for part-time students would be $500 to $1,000 per quarter. Now, it is possible to be eligible for more than one scholarship. That's absolutely possible. You could be eligible and receive a performance-based scholarship and also a need-based financial scholarship. When you're ready to apply and submit all the requirements, you just click here, and then this would take us to an online application, and you just kind of go through the process, and you're able to submit everything that's required online. Martha, is there anything else that you want to mention about scholarships before we go off of this page?
No, I think that's okay. The only other like a couple of questions that I saw were people asking for information on our full ride scholarships. So we'll address it in a second.
Yeah, so currently MI is not offering a full ride scholarship. It's something that is being looked into and I believe considered by upper management, but currently at this time, there's not a full ride scholarship that's available. They're all partial scholarships. We've seen that in many cases with students, if you apply or if you're eligible for especially more than one scholarship, if you get multiple scholarships, then it can, greatly reduce your overall balance of the tuition. If we do offer a full ride scholarship, we will absolutely inform everyone that's in our database, and everyone will have an opportunity to apply for those. So it's really as much information as we can provide at this moment. We do also, by the way, have these Musician Foundation scholarships. And these are just additional scholarships that you can apply for. These scholarship opportunities are usually sponsored by other organizations, but the main key thing to know about these scholarships is they're not throughout the duration of your program. These scholarships, typically a student would receive the funding or it would be applied towards their tuition for the first 2 quarters of their program. So just want to mention that you can apply for these as well. So the main thing to do with all these scholarships is go through and just see which scholarships apply to your program and the program that you're going into, right? So definitely keep that in mind. These scholarships, the Musicians Institute MI Online scholarships, if you receive these scholarships, they will absolutely apply to the entire duration of your program. So let's say, you're a full-time student in the bachelor degree program. It's a 12-quarter program. The minimum you're going to receive is a $12,000 scholarship. And again, but could potentially receive more than that. So yes, again, you will always receive these scholarships throughout the duration of your program. Okay, I am going to go, one moment. Okay, so back to our presentation. As a summary of everything that we've covered thus far, apply to school and submit a FAFSA. Grants, scholarships, and loans are available to those that qualify. Meet deadlines, apply now. Communicate with your admissions and financial aid advisors. Provide all requested information and documents. That's another thing we always like to remind students about. Make sure that if admissions reaches out to you and says, we need to have this document, or just, here's a reminder, a couple of forms or documents you still need to submit, make sure you jump on that and do that as quickly as possible. Same thing with the financial aid office. Financial aid office will definitely have additional forms that you need to submit. You want to submit those as quickly as possible. Complete final applications and forms. So it's kind of covering the same thing. Also, communication is the key. We say that often here at MI in both admissions and financial aid office. If for some reason you're not able to provide a document that we're requesting, if you can't do that within a relatively short period of time, make sure you communicate with the individual and let them know, right? So I'm not able to get that this week, but I should be able to get that to you within 2 weeks or so. We get a bit concerned when we don't hear from students for a couple of weeks. So again, it's really important to just make sure you're always communicating with anyone who's contacting you from Musicians Institute. So I do want to go over some information in case we have any veterans. Musicians Institute, oftentimes, well, actually every quarter, every start term, we always have some veterans that are attending, veteran personnels that are attending. They're using GI Bill and veterans benefits. So yeah, let's go over some of that information in case we do have some veterans joining us today. So Musicians Institute is a VA-approved institution and accepts the following benefits for VA-approved programs: Post 9/11, Chapter 33, Montgomery GI Bill Active Duty, Chapter 30, Montgomery GI Bill Selected Reserve, Veteran Readiness and Employment, Chapter 31, Survivor and Dependent Education Assistance Program, Chapter 35, and Fry Scholarship for children and spouses of members who passed away in the line of duty after 9/10/2001. Okay. To complete your VA folder, we need documents such as, but not limited to, Certificate of Eligibility or Benefit Summary Statement from ebenefits.va.gov. Once again, we will provide that web address in the follow-up email. For vocational rehabilitation, Chapter 31 recipients will need authorization from your VA counselor. We need the DD 214 member 4 copy. It's not required for dependents receiving post 9/11 benefits, but we will need veterans file number for processing purposes. Also, transcripts from all previously attended colleges. These must be official, and the Student Bill of Rights. So connect with an admissions advisor for more details on program eligibility. Also, if you just have general questions, need some general information, definitely contact your admissions advisor. For more information, visit the VA website or contact Melissa Cuesta Booker for any questions. Melissa is our on-site VA coordinator. So again, a couple of, well, you have a web address there, that's gibill.va.gov, and then Melissa's email address is melissac@mi.edu. All right, now open Q&A session. So for a moment here, while I get a little bit caught up, I'm going to turn it back over to Martha and Eric. If you have any questions that you want to address, even if it's something you answered previously, but you think maybe the whole group can benefit from, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, just really quick on the whole veterans. Well, first of all, thank you guys for your service. We really very much appreciate your service to your country and to us. But with that whole VA, we highly encourage you to apply for or request your certificate of eligibility, your COE, as soon as you know when you're wanting to start. It can take up to like 30 days to receive that information, and we always need a current one. So if you're looking to start, say, in the summer quarter, which will start July 7th, right now is the time to request that document. And then that way, you're not stressing, you're not worried about receiving that information in time to start and register for classes. If you have a counselor, if you're using like Chapter 31 for voc rehab or VRNE, that process can also take quite a bit of time. So the sooner that you apply to this school and get that process going with your counselor, the better it's going to be, because just with everything that's happening with the Veterans Department and some staffing changes and all of that, there's been a little bit more delays than usual. So just jump on it as soon as possible. Submit your application to MI. Connect with your admissions advisor, and any documents or anything that your counselor might need, we'd be happy to provide that for you. But time is of the essence, and anything having to do with the government, as we all know, moves kind of slow. So just try to get on that as soon as you can, so you're not rushing towards the start of the quarter.
Perfect. Great information. Thank you, Martha. Did you also want to cover some information about additional scholarship opportunity? And is just anything else you may want to cover?
Yeah. There's been
admissions, start terms. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's been a couple of questions about whether to start summer or fall. You know what? Of course, we want you to start sooner rather than later, especially, summer courses when, like Steve said, our classes are relatively small, teacher to student ratio. Most students like to take the summer off and do whatever, and they like to follow the traditional academic year, meaning starting in the fall. But if you have that ability and you can start sooner, it's always better to get a jump start. For us, we don't have like the summers off. It doesn't work like that with us. It's a year-round program. One of our other colleagues likes to say, music never stops, never sleeps, so neither do we. And it's really good to get acclimated to that way of thinking. You know, music and working is always a year-round thing. Typically, you're not going to take time off like the summer. So start sooner rather than later. Now, if you are an international student and you're wanting to take classes on campus, that whole I-20, you know, student visa process can be delayed as well, just depending on what country you're in. So again, time is of the essence. The sooner that you apply to the school, you submit all your requirements, the sooner that we'll be able to provide, you know, the necessary documents for you to set that appointment at your local embassy and your local consulate. Yes, we're still accepting applications for our summer quarter. As I said, it starts July 7th. And if you want to start in the fall, we are still accepting applications for that as well. But that typically is a larger cohort of students because, again, like I said, a lot of students tend to follow the traditional academic year. So really, you have to apply right away. We don't want you to miss an opportunity because the class might be full. So those of you who have already submitted an application for the fall, the commitment deadline is tomorrow. If you've not been accepted, of course, you know, continue working on all of that. But your admissions advisors are going to connect with you. They can help guide you which is the best option, just given your personal situation. They'll reach out to you by tomorrow, at the latest Monday or Tuesday of next week. But they're going to be you know, communicating with you about the next steps and all of that in terms of the application process. Now, in terms of scholarships, yes, all of the things that Steve covered, all of the ones that we offer here at MI, obviously that, you know, you're able to apply for that. But the easiest scholarship that you can get is one that you're going to automatically get for attending today. So it's a little bit of a thank you to all of you for you know, taking time out of your schedule to join us to get a little bit of information. So all you need to do is fill out a short little form from your admissions advisor. They'll send it to you. And then complete a short essay, just telling us a tiny little bit about yourself, your aspirations and your goals in music, and really just giving us feedback about today's event, what you liked, what you didn't, what things you might have liked to hear. So if you just put that in an essay, we like to, you know, make some improvements to all the events that we do, and you'll automatically get that scholarship. There is a full-time amount of $500 if you're a full-time student, and half of that if you're a part-time student. So again, connect with your admissions advisor and they'll be able to send you those forms and get you situated. All of these scholarships that we offer, the ones that MI offers, open house scholarship, or the ones for today, the ones that are on our website, these are all for tuition credit. So it's not like you're going to be receiving cash or checks or anything like that. It's a reduction on your tuition. Depending on you know, what you're eligible for with other types of aid, it might help cover, you know, some of that uncovered tuition balance. It might not. It just depends, and it really is a case-by-case basis. But we highly encourage you to apply to as many scholarships as you think you're eligible for, because you might be able to, what we like to say, stack them, you know, combine them. So do that as soon as you can. And we're always going to try to do our best to try to make it as affordable as possible attending MI. So you'll work with your admissions advisor, you'll work with financial aid for those of you who are applying for federal financial aid. And then we have a really wonderful billing department that can help you with payment plans. And really, all of us, we're just here to help support you in any way that we can to make this as financially feasible as we can within reason. So yeah, just communicate with us and we'll do our best to help you.
Perfect.
Somebody asked if our scholarships are renewable each year or are they one-time award. You know what? They are, they're yours. If you're awarded, they're yours to lose, really. You know, you don't have to reapply the next year for the same scholarship. It can carry over for the length of the program that you're in. With the condition that, of course, you maintain satisfactory academic progress, meaning you're passing your classes with decent grades. Of course, the code of conduct is really, really important. You know, be respectful, etc., not only to your instructors but your fellow classmates. So if you're meeting all these requirements, attendance, all, what have you, you don't need to reapply. So just do what you're supposed to do, go to school, complete your assignments, get good grades, and we'll continue to honor that. So yeah, they're your, like I said, they're yours to lose. Once they've been awarded, it's really all up to you.
Martha, I also want to mention, well, first let me mention to you that I want to go through the current questions that are in the Q&A. So we'll answer those verbally. So anyone who, if we've not answered your question in Q&A yet, just stand by. What'd you make me think about? Scholarships. So we also have scholarships that are available for current continuing students. So keep that in mind, because if you can apply for scholarships to start your program, and let's say you don't receive some, let's say, for example, the musicianship scholarship, performance-based, well, maybe a year later, while you're in your performance program and you greatly enhanced and improved your skills and your performance ability, you can reapply for some of those scholarships again, and you may be eligible and receive those scholarships. We're also working on expanding scholarship opportunities specifically for our current students. So that's, I think, just an important thing to keep in mind. Some people were asking about the audition requirements or requirements for specific programs. So I did a couple times in the chat. I put in a link to our application guidebook. Definitely check that out. Martha, I'm going to throw this one at you. Someone asked, what is the deadline to start in summer?
Now.
Perfect. Thank you.
Honestly, yeah, honestly, just we don't have like specific deadlines for summer. We accept applications getting close to the start of the quarter, but with all these different moving parts, with finances in particular, the sooner that you apply and get accepted, the better it's going to be. Because that way you get a very good, clear financial picture as to what it is that you're looking at. And that gives us more opportunity to assist you with different options. Not to say that if you apply closer to the quarter, you're not going to get that assistance. Of course you are. But, I'd rather you do it ahead of time so you're not feeling rushed, because once it gets, closer to the quarter, you have to fill out like enrollment forms and, of course, getting yourself accepted first and foremost. So you're submitting, documentation, audition for that, and then your enrollment forms that you have to fill out. And if you need to make any changes to your schedule, you have to do that. And then on top of that, having to add, navigating the whole out-of-pocket, expenses and applying for scholarships, it could be a little bit much to get done in a really short amount of time. So just, ease of mind, give yourself plenty of time to get it done. You always have people at your disposal here at MI that we're gonna help you through the entire process, so you're not left alone to like try to figure things out. But again, the sooner that you do that, the better it's gonna be to get you a very, very clear picture for you. Let's see. What is the
I have
deadline
a
for
couple
fall?
here I have a couple
Okay.
here. I'll go next.
Okay.
Just one second. Spencer, I know Eric is answering your question right now, but just so you know, you're asking who your admissions advisor is. We will look it up and they will contact you. But the person you assign to in admissions is automatically going to contact you next week. Most of them will start reaching out to all of you on Monday. Okay, so for Marley and anonymous attendee, I can answer both your questions at the same time because they're very similar. You're asking essentially, what if you can't attend until next year? So I know in the case of Marley, it sounds like you're going to be a senior next year. Congratulations, by the way. It's always an exciting time. But yes, if you are currently in high school, you're going to be a senior in the fall, and you really can't attend until next year, you can. Here's what we suggest is, absolutely, you can start to apply and submit your admissions application at the beginning of your senior year. So you can definitely apply. The applications will be available starting in the fall in October. And I should know this, but I'm actually asked Martha my own question. Can somebody actually apply for, let's say, as late as summer or fall next year right now? Or no, do we not have that?
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. So then, yeah, see,
Absolutely.
Marley, we're both learning. Yeah, sometimes we don't necessarily open up application until 1 year prior, but I think we're starting to open up even further in advance. So there you go. Yeah, you can apply now all the way up through fall of next year.
Right. That's fall of next year would be the furthest out that you can apply. We don't have anything available for 2027.
There you go. Perfect. We'll get there soon enough.
Yeah, I can't believe I
Um,
said 2027. That's
I know.
crazy.
Right, exactly. Again, yeah, so the fall we're referring to is fall of next year, 2026. Okay, so we also had, I'm so glad that someone asked this question, are payment plans offered? Or is the full payment required at the time of enrollment? Great question. I want to apologize to everyone for not already covering that. So yeah, we do offer payment plans. So let's say you apply for financial aid and scholarships, or even if you're just getting scholarships, whatever the balance of your tuition is, we can actually absolutely work out payment plans for that. We have payment plans where you can essentially do monthly payments, paying towards your balance while you're a student. Ideally, you want to try to do monthly payments and be able to have your balance paid up at the end of every quarter. So if that makes sense. We basically look at it on a quarterly basis, right? So another way to look at it too is that we don't say, on your enrollment agreement, it'll say, here's the total cost of your program, but we're only charging you for the classes you sign up per quarter. So which is every 3 months, right? So you're going to sign up for 12 to 15 credits or 7.5 credits. We'll let you know what that total is, and that's what you're going to owe for that quarter. And you basically do that process every 3 months or every quarter. Yes, so whatever your balance is, you can break it up into monthly payments. And we do also have alternative lending options available. So it would be an alternative loan that you would apply for. It's a credit-based loan. And if you are available or eligible for that loan, then generally we can work out a payment structure that fits within your budget. And this can allow you to make payments while you're going throughout the program. And in some cases, you may be able to, if you have just a small balance left at the end of the program, still make payments on that balance after you graduate. So that's something, the first step though is to apply for scholarships and federal financial aid if you are eligible to apply for that. And then we can always discuss those other options for you at that time. Okay. Martha, do you want to address I know you're typing the answer right now for Alexia.
Yes, but I think other people would benefit from that
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, so unfortunately, Alexia, you cannot apply for 2 terms or 2 quarters at the same time. You definitely have to pick one. If you're kind of iffy about which one to do, the easiest route is to apply for the one that's a little bit further out, just because it's easier to move your application up. Rather than, let's say that you apply for summer and then things don't work out, or you're not able to start at that time, then there's a whole internal process that we have to go through, and you as well, where you have to request for deferral to be approved. And sometimes they're not approved, sometimes they are, and you're only allowed one deferral. So I would recommend that you apply for the fall quarter, and still, like, in your mind, aim to start in the summer. And if you can make that happen, all you have to do is connect with your admissions advisor and send them an email, say, hey, I want to start in the summer. I'm able to make it work, and then we can easily switch you. So I hope that answered your question.
I'm going to answer a couple of questions real quick. And by the way, just so everyone is aware, we are going to have to end this session in a few minutes. So I just want to mention that very quickly. Someone asked if they can apply for scholarships for the master degree program. Yes, absolutely. There are scholarships available for that as well. You can apply for the, performance scholarship or the musicianship scholarship. That also applies to the master degree program. Minimum number of credits for a full-time student, that's 12. So to be a full-time student, the minimum number of credits you have to sign up for as full-time is 12. Most students try to take 14 to 15 credits per quarter, just because then you're graduating within the time frame that you see, that's in our catalog. Let's see here. Try to answer a couple more here real quick. Eric, is there anything else or anything that you want to mention before we sign off here?
There's been not many actually questions, to be honest, but the latest one was regarding loans. There is a great 6-month grace period when it comes to loan repayment, and most of the information you'll find during the application process. So part of the acceptance process is that you go through a counseling session where you are given information about how loans work and typically what you encounter when you begin repayment. There's also an exit counseling, which you deal with more once you complete graduation or if you have to go through withdraw from school, you again you are put through the process of getting information regarding your loan, so you're prepared for repayment whenever that happens. Oh, and in case anyone missed it, again, you are more than welcome to apply for financial aid. You can submit a FAFSA and apply for scholarships. So apply for anything that you're eligible for.
Someone, John, I don't know if you're still on the session with us, but John, you had asked a deadline for tomorrow was mentioned. What was this deadline for? Was there a deadline for tomorrow?
Yeah, so what it is, and I did respond directly to John, but just for everybody's benefit. So for fall, so any students that have already applied for fall and have been accepted for fall. So we had applicants from late last year, like October or November, that applied. They've been accepted. So their commitment deadline is tomorrow. So you would have already received an email. Our fall applicants already received an email just outlining that deadline. So if you've applied, you've been accepted, provisionally accepted. We just want to know if you are intending to commit to MI for the fall. So that's tomorrow. But the application is still open. We operate on what we call extended action or rolling admissions. So if you haven't applied yet, no problem. You can still do that. But just keep in mind that again, time is of the essence. You want to apply soon because especially fall, there's a lot of students that start in the fall, and we don't want the program that you're interested in to be full. So the sooner that you do it, the better it's going to be to guarantee a spot.
Perfect. So again, you can apply now or very soon for summer and fall.
Yep.
Just to kind of recap that very quickly. Thank you, Martha. Also, I know the anonymous, you were just asking, just to kind of clarify, if you're not sure if you can start in the fall, then should you apply for next year? I think essentially that's what Martha was recommending. Well, just the following start term. So if you're not sure you're going to be able to make it work for fall, then apply for winter 2026, and still do that right away. Because then if you can apply for these, loans, grants, scholarships, let's say you can find that out if you're eligible or what you're eligible for in the next couple of months. And then if you're looking at the whole package, you can still, like, your award package is really not going to change, right? Whether you're starting in fall or winter. So that's the point of this. So apply now or soon, see what it looks like to start in winter. And then you might find out that in a couple of months you go, oh yeah, I can absolutely do this. And if you can do it, it's really easy to bump your application up, right? So to take your application for winter of 26 and just move it up to fall of 25.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
Or fall to this coming summer. So we had a couple of students or visitors from today saying that they were undecided if they wanted to start this summer in July or in October for our fall. So in that case, apply for fall and then you could potentially start this summer. So there's ways around it, but definitely the best thing, best advice I'm going to give you is communicate with your admissions advisor. And if you don't know who they are, not a problem. They're going to be reaching out to you starting tomorrow and into early next week. So expect to receive a phone call, an email, a text if you're a domestic student. And they'll help guide you through everything, the application process, scholarships, financial aid, everything, when to start. Like they're really gonna help support you through that entire process. So just expect that email and phone call. And if you guys have any questions or if you don't hear from any of your admissions advisors in the next couple of days, I'm going to put my contact info in the chat. Please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to connect you with them, or I'd be happy to answer your questions myself. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys here at MI, either virtually through our MIO programs or here on campus. Whatever the case is, we're looking forward to having you be part of MI.
Martha, real quick, did we put in the link to the application for those who haven't applied and the promo code?
Oh, thank you. I don't think I mentioned the promo code out loud.
I'll grab it. If you want to explain it, I'll go ahead and grab
it. I did it in a couple of chats and Q&A answers, but not out loud. So I do, but thank you for reminding me. So basically, for not only for will you receive a scholarship for attending today, that automatic scholarship that I was talking about earlier. But also you can, if you use the promo code that Steve put on the chat, which is FAIS 2025, you're welcome to use that for a reduction in your application fee. So your app fee, typically it's $100 non-refundable. When you enter that code at the bottom of your application, you'll pay $50. And it's going to be fully refundable in the event that you're not accepted or something that doesn't work out or what have you, then you can get those $50 back. And it gets applied toward tuition if you do move forward. So it's sort of an advance into your tuition payment, if you will. So yeah, go ahead and put that information in your application, and your admissions advisor will provide all of that as well.
Perfect. Thank you. And also thank you, in all fairness, thank you to the person who asked me about that.
Yes, thank you, whoever you are.
Yes, that's great. So I think that does it. I hope that this was very helpful for everyone that joined the session. Again, as Martha said, thank you so much for taking time to join us today. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll be sending you a follow-up email. Again, have all those links. One last thing Martha mentioned that I wanted to point out. Connecting with your admissions advisor. Again, they're going to follow up with you next week. But you know what's great? You can request to do a Zoom meeting with them. And it would be a meeting, not a webinar like this. So you can absolutely, if you're not here in California, you can't come to the college, you can absolutely schedule a Zoom meeting with your advisor. And then I think those are great because then you can be able to see them, talk to them, ask questions, very interactive, obviously. Definitely take advantage of that. Okay. I think that pretty much ends it. Thank you, everyone. I greatly appreciate it. Eric, thank you. Martha, thank you again. And we look forward to seeing all of you either on campus or online at Musicians Institute. Thank you and have a great evening. We'll see you soon.
Yeah,
Thank
take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.